Understanding the Kundalini process. Greetings to all you seekers. I know it's been a long time since I made a video. Some of you've messaged me with some questions on why I haven't uploaded a video in a while, or if I'm going to upload any new videos. Well, yes, here I am. And the reason it's been so long is I've really had a journey trying to break through my throat center and the third eye. My throat would become very swollen from the energy that would just get bottled up here because there was blockages, lots of structural problems in my throat, which I'll talk about later. So it became very hard for me to express myself because Vishuddha, this is called Vishuddha, this is the area where your thyroid is located and also where many energy channels and nerve cords all kind of converge from your brain into your throat center and then throughout the remainder of your body. So it became difficult to express myself, and I really didn't want to waste my time trying to create a video, okay? And also, I just had a new baby boy in December of 2021, so things have been extra hectic trying to stay focused and on course with my own progress. But I have to say that the process has just been beautiful, seeing my first child being born while going through this whole spiritual journey at the same time. It just blew my heart open, seeing this little guy break through and into this world. I know deeply that all this that's been happening outside of me, including all the chaos and suffering that you're all aware of that's going on all over the world, is just a great pattern that's unfolding. It's a cosmic pattern, it's a spiritual pattern, it's all connected, right? We're all just fractals of this major pattern, okay? Now there's a great pattern unfolding in your life also, and once you've gained some ground in the spiritual process, you'll begin to see that pattern and how its origins begins inside of you, and it vibrates out into this physical world, affecting things around you. Now, instead of going into the details of my breakthrough of Vishuddha and Ajna, I decided to do this video first to share with you some insight on the Kundalini process, which is going to help you understand more about really what this energy is and how it is physically experienced. And just so you know, going from Anahata, which is the heart center, through Vishuddha, the throat, it took me about 1.5 years. So it's not a quick process. If you haven't seen my 2 previous videos on the Kundalini Ascension, I strongly suggest watching those so you have a good foundation and what I'm talking about here. Otherwise, this all might sound pretty strange and confusing, okay? So I put those links below in the comment section, so check those out if you haven't. Now, it's important to know that there are 2 levels of energy that you're harnessing while meditating. I got a fly in here. One of them is just your normal prana, the life force energy. This is the energy that's currently in action within your body. And this energy is your consciousness, okay? You might not be aware of that now, but you will be if you continue your practice. This is typically the energy that you're working with when you're doing meditation. People will many times confuse this prana with Kundalini because they feel tingles and vibrations running down their neck and arms or legs and assume, oh, they activated Kundalini. This is actually just your normal active prana, life force energy, that's beginning to let go of your body as you continue your yoga and stretching routine. The body loosens up, right? It's more flexible and the energy detaches much easier when you meditate. So that's what it is. It's detaching from your body and it travels to the area that you're focusing on. And that traveling, that movement is that tingling sensations that you're feeling. It helps the mind to comprehend it when you relate this energy to electricity. The prana is like the electricity that is powering up your 3D body and feeding your 5 senses. Except this electricity is conscious. That's the difference, right? Now, your consciousness is normally spread throughout your body in the form of touch, taste, sound, vision, and smell. Once you're able to become meditative, this energy begins to become loose in your body. And as you become more and more meditative, the mind starts losing its grasp on your physical body, and your energy becomes more free or unplugged, okay? And eventually, more and more of it will gravitate towards the area of the body that you're focusing on when you're meditating. So your goal ultimately in meditation is to direct this energy to the source, up to the crown. Now, the other type of energy is Kundalini. Okay, really what this whole series I've been doing is about. It's essentially the same thing and the same type of electricity, except it's not active in your everyday bodily functions. It stays dormant until you activate it. Now, once this dormant energy is activated, this is what we call the Kundalini awakening, or the beginning of a spiritual awakening, or a Shakti awakening, and so on. Okay, a lot of different terminologies, different cultures, and so on, right? Now, there are two main differences between Kundalini and Prana in your body. Kundalini is much more concentrated. It's more dense. It acts like an amplifier. And its only course is up through your spine and into your brain. Whereas the Prana is throughout your body. Like I said, it's what's giving your whole body consciousness. Now, once that journey to your brain is completed, the Kundalini eventually becomes settled, but within the heart center, instead of the root chakra where it originated. So now the goal for having a spiritual awakening is to eventually activate Kundalini and focus it upwards until you break the mind and break out of your five senses completely. And then all the truth and everything is revealed to you. This is when you'll experience a true spiritual awakening. When you break that third eye, is the breaking of the illusion, or what I like to call human evolution. This is when you start evolving. Okay, this is like merging the mind with the spirit. The ego operating system finally is becoming dissolved. Okay, now complete dissolution requires you basically to break out of the crown. Okay, your spiritual self, now connected to the source, is now in control instead of the subconscious program construct, which is known as the ego. Okay, this is all your subconscious programming, breaking out of that. Now, regarding your pranic energy, your prana, once you've progressed enough in your yoga practice to eventually become meditative, you'll begin to feel this pranic energy tingling about within your body. So just so you understand, meditation is a state of being. The practices, the asanas and the techniques and all those stretches and that, they're just like stepping stones to get you there. They're just techniques, okay? They'll help you align the body, loosen the body, so you can better gather this energy during meditation. By sitting a certain way and controlling your breath and concentration, it's nothing more than a technique for you to reach this state called meditation. So the word meditating is loosely used here in like the West, the United States. You're not really meditating until you've reached a meditative state. And this can take weeks or months of devoted practice. So just to be clear on that, a better terminology, instead of saying I'm meditating, would be I'm practicing to become meditative. Hope that makes sense. Now back to the prana I was talking about. When you're practicing to become meditative, your goal is to maintain your concentration on your focus area, which may be your third eye, it may be your root chakra, your heart, your solar plexus, whichever type of practice you choose, or whichever area maybe you want to heal or you want to work on. It really doesn't matter much which energy center you choose to focus on, as long as you hold that concentration so that this prana will gravitate into that zone. Now, with each practice, your goal is to stay focused more and not let thoughts or those tingling sensations in your body distract your concentration. And you'll soon find that your meditative state is becoming more and more enhanced with less effort each time. Less things distract you. It's similar to building muscle or becoming more flexible. With each practice, it gets easier to reach your previous threshold, which then leaves you more fuel or willpower to push it a little farther than before. And that's how you grow. So I hope you're following me here, because this is an important concept to know, because it's very easy to succumb to the impatience or frustration when it comes to meditation, especially with the breaking the monkey brain, the first obstacle, the constant thoughts. But with enough practice, you'll be able to reach a meditative state within minutes with hardly any effort. Okay? Sometimes just sitting straight with my back up, all of a sudden I'm almost there. It's just instant now. Okay? You just clear that channel. Essentially, what's happening is that you're gaining more ability to shut the mind down. Okay? and the energy is moving through your body. It's like it's lubricated. So now regarding Kundalini, once you're at that level where you're able to direct or channel this energy throughout your body and hopefully up into the crown, then you're ready for a Kundalini activation, in my opinion. However, as I mentioned in my first video, you need to have your outside life prepare for this, as well as the alignment and the flexibility within your body. So that's where all those yoga routines come in. Kundalini energy erupts out of the root chakra and it ascends upwards. Now for me, Kundalini has a similar sensation to a bowel movement, okay, except that it's moving up within your spine, and sometimes it's vibrating or hot or cold, right? And sometimes it's got a twisting feeling. So it's very physical and distinguishable from that normal pranic energy sensations that you've been experiencing during your meditation practice. Kundalini is intense and it's very dense, so you're going to feel pressure in the area it's located, like it's got too much water or too much air, and it's just like a burst at the seams, and it might be vibrating, okay? It might be really hot. So now as Kundalini ascends up the spinal cord, it will further heal and correct poor physical alignments, as well as both psychological and emotional barriers within your system, far beyond what that normal prana could accomplish, because it's much more concentrated math. So if you think of it, think of the normal energy center, it's clear, and you think it's fully functional because you're able to kind of pass your prana through it. You'll soon find out with Kundalini, there's a whole other level to it, because once Kundalini pushes its way through that zone, then you really feel it, and you really feel everything and all the connections, and it's different, okay? You'll know. My main purpose for discussing this with you is so that you're aware of the ego mind's attempt to have you believing that you've made certain breakthroughs, okay? It's happened to me on many occasions. You may have had some breakthroughs and improvement in your health and psychological functions, but likely they're just some lower level healing being done by the prana that you've been channeling, okay? Now, even though I've had Kundalini active, it was the normal prana that first broke through Vishuddha. But my mind had me convinced that it was Kundalini that broke through it. I thought that I finally cleared a huge blockage in my throat, and my neck and everything cracked, vertebrae realigned, as this thing pushed through. And I was all ready for my third eye to, become activated, energized, and open, right? But it wasn't until that prana did pierce my third eye, which it didn't open, by the way. It just, got pressurized, and I was aware that it was becoming, energized. That's when Kundalini started chipping away at my throat chakra. That's when I really felt that energy there. Okay, so you see, the normal prana doesn't have nearly enough of the magnitude as Kundalini. It's like low pressure, like subtle energy trying to push its way through my throat. It's able to get through those small circuits and channels, even the unhealthy areas. It's definitely healing a lot of those areas when it passes through, but it's a low subtle pressure. Now with Kundalini, imagine a fire hydrant of energy trying to pass through it. It needs to heal and align all the channels in order for this dense mass to pass through. Okay, does that make sense? This is the difference between the pranic healing and the Kundalini healing. Now, after the initial prana passed through my throat, it took over a year before Kundalini was able to break through it completely. I'll give you more details on what I went through as Kundalini passed through Vishuddha and Agna in my next video. I just got a lot of content to go over with you on that, but I wanted to cover this stuff first. So for now, just become aware that there are two energies, so that you're not being misguided by the mind and what's truly happening within your body. Okay, now these energies are pretty much merged. Kundalini it's extreme, and it's kind of like, I call it like the sun. It's like pulling everything to it, the gravity. So it's naturally going to pull all the other prana to it. But when you're focusing, that prana is going to make its way through first, because it doesn't have all that pressure like Kundalini. So it's going to be able to get through some areas, and it can definitely misguide you thinking that, oh, I just passed through and I broke through this thing. You're really going to know it when it happens. Another thing to be aware of is some people experience partial activations where they feel the heat and pressure at the base of their spine, but then it retreats back into its cave. It never seems to make it past the first three energy centers, which is really all about your body. okay? It takes a certain amount of practice, or I guess devotion within you before it's fully active. I mean, you got to really like want this thing. You know, a lot of it depends on you, like your desire to find truth and, you know, what's wrong with the world and who am I, that kind of thing. If it's so strong in you, it's going to be easier for you to raise Kundalini. Now, I've read from other sources that once Kundalini reaches Vishuddha, the throat chakra, once it touches that, it becomes so powerful, so massive because of its energy gathering ability that the lower energy centers cannot pull it back down and reroute it. In other words, it becomes determined to reach the light. Okay, you must understand this. The mind does not want to let go, and it's going to do whatever it can to misguide you in order to keep you wired into its matrix. Okay, this is the mind's matrix, what you're living in. The world is the mind. Okay, the universe is the mind. In other words, the mind will do whatever it takes to keep you in the illusion that you are the mind and the body. When in reality, the mind and body, what I call the ego body, is just like hardware and software that gives the real you the ability to experience a physical world through the five senses. Conscious energy is who you really are, and this conscious energy is Kundalini and Prana. Now, while practicing to become meditative, concentrate on not identifying with reaching any sort of spiritual level. It's going to be hard in the beginning, but eventually you'll get it. Okay, it's like practice, like anything. And the reason why, it's because it's the mind who is doing the identifying, and your goal is to dissolve the mind, the ego mind. The spiritual progress will happen naturally as you dissolve more and more of the ego mind, because remember, it is the mind that is doing all the thinking and identifying. So I hope that makes sense. When you're thinking or relating things, it's the mind that's doing it. Now, Kundalini is just like a seed, and when it becomes active, it's because the seed has become germinated. And once it germinates, that seed sprouts, and it's going to grow and climb up your spine towards that divine light that emanates from the crown. Just like how a normal tree in nature breaks through stone and earth in order to reach the sunlight, Kundalini will break through physical and psychological barriers to reach the divine light. Spiritual growth, it's a process, just like everything in nature. It took me months to understand this and to get my patience about it. But Kundalini is the tree of life growing inside of you. And it's just like a normal tree out in the material world, it needs nourishment to grow. And spiritual nourishment is having a healthy lifestyle, practicing yoga to germinate and grow the Kundalini tree so that it will grow and finally reach that divine light where it will blossom and bear fruits. With that in mind, keep seeking, my friends.